welcome to this episode of Figuring It Out at the Figure Studio. We are here today with Waheeda Rahaman from the Caribbean Delights Restaurant and Bar and also Bakery, located on 215th Place and 215th Ave on Jamaica Ave in Queens Village. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Great. So we're really excited to talk to Waheeda today about how she figured out opening up these restaurants. And a little bit more about what she's doing to make them the perfect place for the Caribbean community. So to kick it off, Waheeda, can you just tell us a little bit more about your locations?
Sure. My first location is on 215th Street. We opened that in December 2014. It's more of like a roti shop bakery. My second location is a full bar and restaurant, and that's located on 217 in Jamaica Avenue. I started out with my mom and my sisters. We just wanted to open something and want more than bringing our food to the community. So that's how it started.
Cool. So with opening up these restaurants, how did you decide a restaurant? How did you decide food?
So like I said, we wanted to open something. My older sister was actually in the restaurant industry already. It just made sense. My mom's a really great cook and she helped us throughout the way. So we started there.
Great. So how did you figure out what location you guys needed to open up at?
We actually live in the area, and the location on 215th Street, we saw it for rent, and we spoke to the owners and stuff, and we just went from there, and it just
made it happen.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So from the point in time where you guys had the idea, where you got together with your mom and your sister and you said, you know, we want to open this business, we really think a restaurant is the great idea. How much time did it take between having the idea to do this and then actually opening up the doors to that restaurant?
So as crazy as it sounds, it's more like it was very spontaneous. We thought of it and everything just fell into place. We saw the location and we just went for it.
Yeah. How did you figure out menu items?
Like I said, everything came out of what we would eat at home, our culture, our food. So it was just easy. So we know everyone loves curry and the breakfast items. It's just, we took what we have at home and brought it to the menu.
Yeah. Was everything like your mom's recipes or family recipes?
Yeah, it was like basic Chinese cuisine. So
Yeah.
it was that. And then I also brought in the Western and Chinese cuisine, which we moved to the new location, which is the bar. That was kind of difficult, locating a chef, someone that we can, you know, trust and make it our own. We did, and that's how that went.
Yeah. So with opening up the bakery, can you think back to some of those initial days of either prior to opening the doors or maybe when you first got started? What were some of the challenges that you guys faced? Like, what were some of the hardest days?
Definitely getting it started. Like I said, we out of the blue wanted to open a restaurant. We didn't know anyone in the restaurant business. My sister worked at a restaurant, but you don't know the behind stuff.
Right.
So it was very hard, like finding places to buy or supplies. We would go to like local places, like regular stores, which doesn't make sense for like when you're cooking in bulk. So it was just difficult from the beginning, just trying to get everything started. But now it's like an easy breeze.
Yeah.
So basically it's like, what is it? Figuring it out and just going with it.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys probably really took each day by day, right?
That's basically it.
Yeah. Did you guys have to sort of divide responsibilities between the three of you?
Yes, we did. It just got so overwhelming. We would take shifts and we would just, most of the time we try to do it together because we like being together and it's just easier when you have your sisters with you. But we do divide it. It helps a lot.
Right. So with getting started, especially on the bakery, what was hiring your first team like?
It was literally like trial and error, basically. So we had, most of the people are still with us, surprisingly. So everyone was, the bakery comes from my mom. So my mom does all the bakery stuff. So that part wasn't that hard. So because she knows everything. So it was just like the cooking, because she can cook, she knows everything, but cooking in bulk was her difficult.
Right.
And when we first opened, because she started it all, so she would actually make smaller pots and we'd have to like re-cooking all that because she didn't know how to cook for like a big.
Yeah.
So that was like our most difficult, like how to like portion size. So that was it.
So also with starting the bakery, just because it was the first venture, what was financing that? Like, did you guys, need to?
It was all out of pocket. Me and my sisters and my mom, we worked and we saved up. We're actually we're gonna buy a house, and we decided not to go that route, and we took all our savings and we put it towards the business.
Yeah, that's an investment too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's obviously paying off
Yes,
really
it
well.
is.
So now thinking about how you guys transitioned to now opening up the restaurant and bar.
Yeah.
So at what point did you say, the bakery is great, but we need to do something else?
So when we initially first got wanted to do opening a restaurant, we actually wanted it to be more of a restaurant and bar, but the location wasn't big enough. It couldn't have done it all. It was more, we set for what it did, and then the location 217 opened up, and we're like, wow, it's a really great spot, and we're like, okay, should we do it? Should we not? And we're like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And we just jumped right into that also, and we started. We spoke to the owners in August. We signed also in August. We started construction.
Awesome.
How that went.
So with that space, what was sort of the vision for it?
I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be different from every West Indian Guyanese bar and restaurant. I wanted it to be elegant. I wanted it to be chic. I wanted it to be family friendly, and I want everyone to be welcome to go in. Like, oh, it's a bar. And with our West Indian background, that stops a lot of like women and children from like entering a bar. Like I want that when they walk in, you're like, wow, they're blown away. They see past what they have in their head about a bar, and that's what I want. Just something clean, chic, and elegant.
Yeah, and also the idea that these women and younger audiences probably feel a little bit more welcome to in this space. So what were some of the specific things that you did to create that type of environment?
Just making everything just like fresh and clean, and I like light. I made everything bright. Go in, every bar is dull and dark.
Yeah, all these shady corners.
Everything just like that. It's the open space. It's beautiful. Everyone should go check it out. I have swings in there in the bar, so it's just fun. It's more youthful. Invites everyone.
So with the Caribbean Delights restaurant and bar, sort of what is the week like? Like, what are your busy nights? What does the weekend look like versus the weekdays?
So for the bar, our busy night starts for Wednesday and goes all the way to Sunday. So and our slow days are mostly Monday, Tuesdays.
Do you guys host any types of specific events that are maybe more geared towards that community?
So right now we don't have a specific events, but we do host. Everyone you can come. We had a baby shower. We had a sweet 16 already. We had lots of birthdays, but nothing specific as yet. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I also saw for the season premiere of Game of Thrones.
Yes, we did have the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, how did that go?
That was really well. It's not what I expected, but how it turned out, and yeah.
Awesome. So with the menu for the restaurant and bar, how did building that out differ from the bakery?
So with that, like I said, I moved the whole West Indian Chinese cuisine to that location. Okay. So I removed it from the bakery, and I moved it. So the whole menu is all West Indian Chinese, and we have a few West Indian items, which is like curries and stuff.
Awesome. So you mentioned, or we talked a little bit earlier about finding the chef for that location. And maybe it wasn't the easiest finding someone that you trust. Can you talk us through that process? Where did you begin? Where did you look? That type of stuff.
So where we found it, we had a friend who owned another restaurant right here in Liberty, and he actually helped us with the chef. So, and we stuck with him, and he's been great ever since.
Awesome. Yeah. So with both of these restaurants, what would you say is your biggest learning from having started them in 2014 to now opening up your second?
That if you put your mind to anything, you can do it. Honestly, because we get a lot. It's hard. You're gonna feel overwhelmed, and you're gonna feel like quitting a lot. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, it's easy breeze. It's great. It's wonderful." It's not. Every day is something new, and it comes up, and some of them are just like surprises that you didn't expect. There's bills. There's inspectors you have to deal with, and it's very hard. And you just really have to be determined to say you want this, you want to make this work, and that's basically it. You just really have to put your mind to it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you did mention just now health inspectors.
Yes.
So I do want to ask a little bit, just especially for anyone who's listening that's interested in
Yes.
getting into the restaurant business. In New York City especially, I'm sure you have to be on top of your
Yes.
game when it comes to health codes and
Yes.
things like that. What has that learning experience been like? You know, having never been in
Yeah.
the restaurant business, how did you learn about that stuff?
It was very surprising to me, just as someone who doesn't have a restaurant. The grading system, it's very poor. It's very unnecessary for when you're in the restaurant, you see what it is. A lot of people, I mean, if we didn't have a restaurant, we see someone with a B, we'd be like, oh, we don't want to go there.
Right.
And quite honestly, it has nothing to do with the food. And you will get a B for something silly as a cup not being turned down. And I feel like when they come to you, they don't really concentrate on the food, which is mind-blowing. They'll go and like pick on the little things.
Right.
And I feel it's a money-making business. Has nothing to do with for the people.
Definitely.
Knowing whether a restaurant's good or not. I mean, yes, some restaurants are bad, but like personally, what I've seen, like they pick on, it's not. It's really not.
Right, and I guess it makes a lot of sense to, as leadership of a restaurant and also the bakery, to, you know, have your own health standards to a certain extent.
As coming from a gynae, so we know that cleanliness is a must. So that carries a long way. You know, we never had an issue where we've gotten a B. We've always been fortunate enough to receive an A. But like I said, cleanliness is very important. And when people walk in, that's the first thing you want them to see and feel welcome. Because no one wants to go to somewhere that looks filthy or dirty. So yeah, it's very important.
For sure. So when you opened up either the bakery and also the restaurant and bar, can you think back to when you guys first opened the doors for each of those locations? Was it just, you know, day one and people started coming in, and then now you have an entire community of people who are regulars, or what was that like?
So when we opened our first location, which is the one in 215, we were very scared. Like I said, this came out of nowhere. We did not know what to expect. And opening day, we just opened the door and we were packed. Surprisingly, we did not do much marketing, flyers the week before, but we just opened the door and the community welcomed us. We were packed. Very, very, very thankful for that. Ever since, I had no complaints. We've been doing well.
Fantastic.
For the second location, it was a breeze because I had experienced it before, so we knew what to expect. We did what we had to do, the necessaries, and we opened. And also, that was a pack, and we were very, very thankful.
Are there other restaurants either in the neighborhood or throughout New York that you either look to partner with or for inspiration?
All of the restaurants, they all have their own unique way of doing something. And, you know, we look at it and maybe steal something here and there, but they all have their own special ways. We do have two other. Sorry.
It's okay.
Check. I suck. I'm sorry.
No, you know.
Yeah, like I said, all restaurants have their own thing that we all would look at on maybe an Instagram, or if we went there, we'll try to maybe say, oh, this works really well, and maybe I'll try to bring it back to my restaurant. I've done that before. I'm not gonna lie. It just somebody just like reaching out without.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like art, you know, like, or any idea. There is kind of no such thing as a real original idea, especially at this point in time.
Yes.
Inspiration comes from everywhere, so it's really about, I think, borrowing from things that you see in the world.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go back to your opening of the restaurant and bar and what figuring out the different components inside the bar was like. So, you know, this location has a bar, which the roti shop didn't necessarily didn't serve alcohol at all.
No, we did not serve alcohol.
Yeah. So what was that like? Like, did you guys have any bartending experience?
No, we didn't. My sister did. She did bartending before. She actually went to school for bartending, so she was very familiar with everything. I personally didn't, and I don't drink, so it was very difficult for me at first. Very difficult, like just knowing what the difference from gin and vodka and tequila. Like they're all the same to me. Alcohol is alcohol. And it was very difficult because we did start doing the bartending ourselves when we first opened up. But now I Google most of my stuff, and I have the bartenders that we have right now, they help me and they teach me their ways of making stuff, and I'm pretty comfortable right now. I can make anything.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was hard.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Google.
Yes.
How much did you find yourself in, maybe even still, like how much do you find yourself just turning to the internet when you don't know something?
A lot.
Yeah.
It's just so easy. It's so easy now to just type it in,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll give you the recipes, and you just hold them up.
Yeah, so you're pretty much a self-taught bartender now, it
Yes,
seems
I
like.
am. And I've got a lot of compliments on my bartending, and come by,
Awesome.
I'll make you something.
Yeah, I definitely will. So also with this restaurant now serving alcohol, obviously that puts a whole nother variable into the mix
Yes.
of what can happen.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever dealt with any situations
Yes.
of, maybe someone drinking too much or just dealing with that?
It's different. The customers are different. With the alcohol being involved, not trying to be rude, but they can get out of place,
Mhm.
and it was hard at first. But you, as a woman, as being only women there, I felt like sometimes they would take advantage of that, and they think that they can walk off. You just really have to be strong because we are owners and we are only women. I do have a bouncer now, but I think the crowd is controlled.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So with the restaurant, where do you see it going in maybe a year or 2 years? Like, what is your goal?
My goal is to be packed
Yeah.
all day. I want to be like one of those top restaurants, super packed that I have a line, and I want a line.
Yeah.
Basically, you want the best for your business, no matter what it is. A restaurant, a fitness studio, you want the best. You want everyone to love it and to see all your hard work appreciated. So yeah, I want it to be packed.
Awesome. What would you tell someone who's interested in getting into this business, either a bakery or something like the restaurant and bar?
Don't be discouraged. It's hard. It's very hard. And it'll still be hard, even 5 years down the line. It will continue to be hard, but if you really want it, go for it. You put everything you have in your heart into it, and it will succeed.
Prior to these businesses, have you ever worked with your mom and sister before on
No.
something?
No, I have not.
How has doing this either, has it changed your relationship at all?
It hasn't, because it's the same. We treat our businesses like it's our home, and we're at home with my family all day, every day.
That is so sweet. I love that.
It's not different.
Yeah. So with working with your family, other than dividing up the time, are there certain things that you guys might focus on more than the other? So does one person maybe handle a little bit more of the business side of things, or does another person handle more of the food? Is there a division that way?
So it is. Sometimes we do try to divide it. Like I'll handle more of the bills and the insurance stuff, and my sister will do like all the inventory. We split it up. Whatever needs to get done once it's done.
Cool. So now I kind of want to talk a little bit about customer service.
Yes, definitely.
So what is that like? Like going into these businesses, how did you decide what are sort of your standards for customer service?
Like I said, with the road shop, it's ease. It's a breeze. You meet people, you greet people, you give them their food. That's it. We say we part our ways until we see them again. And most of them are all our regulars, so we chit chat, we talk about it. The bar and restaurant was different for me. That was different because, like I said, alcohol is involved, and like with the roast shop, everyone would just come. They're nice. They talk a little whatever. But at the bar, they're drinking. They get some of them. We know West Indian people. They get a lot of carried away.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. They would get loud. Can I say?
Yeah.
We had incidents where we have swings. They would think they're at the park, and some of them, the cursing. I've had people spit on the floor. I want everyone to feel when they come, because we're so family oriented, to come and feel like, okay, you're at home, and I want them to respect my place like they would respect their home.
Right.
And that's like my only standard. Like if you're gonna come, if there's kids there, don't curse, don't spit on my floor, don't swing on my swings. Treat my place like it's your home, and we'll be good.
Right.
It's simple as that, and I feel like that's where people get carried away with, and they go out to places and they think they could do whatever they want, and they don't really think of what it took to get someone there to get that, and they'll abuse it. And you know, I don't. That's my only stand. I don't like when people go like be very nasty, especially with my bartenders. Like if I always tell them, if you feel uncomfortable, let us know. We'll handle it. Like I don't like when people go and they be nasty to people, treat your people awful.
Yeah, it's definitely about respect. I mean, I think anytime that anyone that's ever worked in the service industry, I personally have like the utmost respect because people really give you a tough time.
They really do.
Sometimes, especially at restaurants and bars, customers can act like you're there to serve them and only them and all of their needs. So I'm sure that has been even potentially eye-opening to what that experience is like. Serving, particularly a West Indian community, and you are creating a space that is different from your typical rum shop or restaurant that serves West Indian food. I'm sure that you've gotten people in your restaurant who maybe want to act the same way that you might act in one of those traditional restaurants that aren't so much welcoming towards women and families and things like that. How do you handle, what is that behavior like, and how do you handle it?
We've seen that before. Like they'll come in and they'll be rude. They'll wait 10 minutes and it's like they waited forever. And I mean, sometimes that gets me like really like bothered. Like I mean, they'll go anywhere, another race or another ethnicity restaurant. They'll sit there and they'll wait. I've seen it, and they'll come to their own people and they're just demand. And I understand if you're waiting half an hour, but we've never exceeded like 15 minutes. Sometimes the kitchen is busy.
Right.
And they get very rude and obnoxious. I like to talk to people. I could say I'm the good guy for my sister, so I would like, sir, it'll be a few minutes, and sometimes that's not enough, and they're just still being rude. Sometimes you have to like be stern and be like, hey, either you want it or you don't. And as that would consider being bad service, and you always want to be good to your cater to your customers. Sometimes you have to lose some to gain more. Right.
Because again, going back to that respect, you are obviously treating your customers with the utmost respect, but if you can't get that back from them, then at a certain point you're still a human. So you mentioned that your sister might be a little bit more
she is. She's a little more on the tough side, where I would try to talk to them and she'd be a little bit more, hey, I guess you could leave if you're not happy. And I would try to like, hey, it's gonna be a few minutes, but sometimes you need a bad guy, good guy. It's just even out the balance of it.
Definitely. So before you got a bouncer, was your sister more of your impromptu bouncer?
She was, and then it became where I had to do it myself sometimes. Like you had to be still. Like I said, alcohol will make someone very different, very difficult, and from there that started.
Do you guys have live music or a DJ?
We do. We have a live DJ every Friday, Saturday, and Sundays.
Awesome. Do you have the same in-house DJ, or do you?
Yes, we do. We had two. Currently, we have one right now. Same.
Cool. How did it go about finding that person?
They're both friends. One of them are a customer. We just try to keep it in the neighborhood. So, they live in the neighborhood, and they're nobody big or anything. Just kids who like playing music.
Awesome. And I mean, that's really how you get started. So thinking about the future, which I know can be a really big question, but what do you see the restaurant looking like in 5 years, and do you ever see you guys opening up another location?
Definitely, another location. We do want multiple locations. Like I said, I just want it to grow and be successful, and that's more than I can ask for. And we do want other locations, like we're even talking about opening kind of like a nail salon, just different things. Like we want to venture out from the food industry, but still stay close to home.
Right. So as you guys think about these new potential businesses, what are some of the common threads? Like why a nail salon, and what makes you guys decide,
It's easy to think about a business when you look in your neighborhood, you see what's missing and what potentially could be better and what they're doing wrong. You're like, oh, I can bring something more we can do it better. And you just really have to put your all into it and make it work.
Definitely. What are some things that you think other restaurants and bars that service the West Indian community are missing?
The customer service. I feel like everyone complains about that, and I feel where their downfall is, and sometimes it could be even, I'm not one to judge, people can always say they're not that great either, is when you have a business, that's your baby, and you wouldn't leave your baby with anyone. So the whole point is, if you have a restaurant, be there. And that's why me and my sisters were always there. We try to be there, give our customers the best we can give them, because without a customer, there is no restaurant. We need each other. So I feel like everyone should just take the time and train their employees. Know that, sometimes people can be awful to them, but they need to just give the best.
Absolutely. So one of the last questions that I have for you is just, what is something that you would like to share with our audience about starting any type of new business?
Like I said, don't be discouraged. That's like the number one thing. Everyone around you, if someone's gonna say, oh, it's gonna be hard, oh, it's a lot. But if you give your all to it, and at the end of it, whether it fails or succeed, it was worth it. I feel like that's the most important thing. And I feel everyone takes opinions from people, and it shouldn't count.
Definitely stay true to yourself. Yeah. So why also should people come over to Caribbean Delights?
Because we're a family, and we
Join the family.
Join the family. That's basically, not only that, we have really, really great food and authentic food and amazing drinks.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna stop by and check it out. So where can we find you guys, both the restaurant and the bakery, and yourself on social media?
We have Instagram and also Facebook, Caribbean Delights QV for the roti shop, and Caribbean Delights, CB Restaurant and Bar for the bar.
Great. And then just the location again for both of those?
The roti shop is located at 215-21 Jamaica Avenue, and the bar is located at 217-21 Jamaica Avenue.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I really learned a lot about what it takes to open up both a bakery and a restaurant and bar, and I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
So thanks again for watching this episode of Figuring It Out at the Figure Studio, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.
Bye.